Well, I think the most honest thing to say is I am a composer. Mostly, I would say I like to work with musicians. I like very much to collaborate with other people. So I think this is one of the main opportunities that give you this profession. That you can be engaged with people from different fields, and this is really, really, really beautiful experience always, because you have different perspectives, different point of view, different concept about how you can approach this, how you can approach that. So I like it very much, this possibility of collaborate. So as you see in many of my music, always is reference sometimes to literature, architecture, physics. We have to be with the people that we gathering together. So yeah, I like to collaborate with other disciplines. I think it's a very, very remarkable part of our life, to share knowledge. And I think it happens when you have the chance to work with others. So in the case that you are more specific in the field of music, okay, you work with a musician, and that for me is extremely beautiful moment, because you learn through these meetings and about the instruments, about the difficulties, what is possible to do, what is not, all this dialect that create between the musicians and the composer, and this collaboration that you generate through, in this case, music, but also happen when you work with people from other fields, like filmmakers or visual artists or writers. So I think that this is, to me, the most beautiful part of our profession, which is mean to make music. This happened, of course, many years ago. I was very little, and I has been in the theater with my family. I think I have 7 years old, something like that. We went to listen the Moscow Philharmonic Orchestra. It was a great concert. Still, I remember the music that they play. They play the Symphony No. 6 of Tchaikovsky, and they play the New World by Borchak. Two super monumental music for orchestras, and it was a fantastic performance. So I was really impressed and shocked by this event. So from there on, I always like to go to concert with my parents. Always they take me to the theater. The theater is called Theater El Círculo in Rosario City. And other part that I remember that was really, it was fun for me, to see the line of the brass instrument, because they become completely red like tomatoes. And I don't know why I always laughing when I saw them playing, an effort. So this was really, really, really beautiful experience. And later, of course, I started to play piano, which was my first instrument. And I know my first instrument was a recorder, because this is how I learned to read music. And after piano, of course, I want to have played piano, but my teacher that occasion said, first let's learn to read music, and will be easy with a recording flute. Why, I don't know, but this is what happened. And after I have the chance to begin with the piano classes, and I have a very really curious anecdote about the piano. So I got the piano. My parents say, okay, let's see if you like it or not. First, I will ask a friend of us that can borrow instrument. So suddenly arrived the piano, a wall piano, beautiful Walter Zimmermann. I love this brand even though now. And okay, later came the tuner man. And I was completely curious to see the instrument inside, how it works, the mechanism, the hammers, the strings. So I asked the hammerer if I can stay with him and help him to tune the piano, and we have to change one of the strings. And we opened the instrument, and suddenly on the left side of the piano, in the bottom, we found there a package, a kind of certain objects, rubbing with paper, completely yellow, the paper, when it's really, really, really old. And the tuner man asked me, what is this? I say, oh, I don't know. We got the piano for a family's friend of my parents. So I don't know. We didn't open the piano yet. That's the first time. I say, okay, let's unpack. It was really, really heavy. So he put it on the side on the floor. And actually, he asked for a can in order to see better. And opened the package, and inside was 6 bombs, real bombs, homemade bombs. Was really shocking experience, and see that. So from where I come from, well, actually this piano belonged to a family. Some of the members of the family was involved in a left party militants, and yeah, have these bombs, and he hiding these bombs in the piano, and but it's weird, no? Because it have to be with our past, the dictatorship, this period, really dark of our childhood. And this was the first prepared piano that I see in my life. After, paradoxically, I decided to play contemporary music and come up the Sean Cage and prepare piano. But the first prepared piano that I got with the bombs inside. So this is, I think, an anecdote that I always keep in mind, because it's like a really shocking experience as a child. I think I had 8 years old. I mean, I like music. I don't know if I have in mind, I want to be a musician, but I like music and I like to play music. My parents like classical music. So, and I have this kind of ritual every day when I came from the school, coming back home, and after my brunch or lunch at the afternoon with my parents, they have a nap, and I used to pick up my little bunches, put it in the middle of the living room, take a LP of Beethoven symphonies or Brahms, and I conduct the whole symphony. What I did, I don't know, but I remember this action, to be in front of, of the wall of my living room and just conduct the symphony. And I love the symphony. It's funny, because, since I was a child, I always liked, especially 2 symphonies by Beethoven, which was the number 6 and 7. And still right now, I like that symphony the most. I think it's the most beautiful. And I like the first of Brahms and the third of Brahms. And still right now, I think are my favorite as well. So it's very interesting that, since I was a kid, I like this music, and still right now I like it. So, I like it to just conduct the symphony. So I don't know if I know that I will be a musician or composer or whatever, but, I have this very strong relationship with music. And, I love, my parents found it in the LP, for instance, these sonatas, piano sonatas by Beethoven, and I asked to myself when I will play this, as a question mark, and writing in the LP, when I will play this music. So, the Waldstein Sonata, or the number 32 that I love it. So I have this contact with music always. So it's coming from my family, because they like classical music as well. They like art, so all the books of fine art, it was in the library of my house, and the LPs was in the part of my childhood. So this is how I was involved, perhaps, in music. Yeah, my creative process is, I think, I have to be with others fields. Sometimes I am inspired by a text, could be inspired by the space, could be inspired by a specific person that I have to work. So, it's always an open door, and this is what I like. Mostly, I would say, reading is a very, very important part of my life. I reading constantly text, not connected each other, let's say at random, books from different sources. It could be literature, could be essays, could be physics, could be sometimes maths, could be literature, poetry. So, many books are always surround my studio. And I think it's the only one thing where I invest money buying books, mostly and music. So, I always read, and I think in many cases, inspirations coming through literature or books in general terms. So this is something which is quite important. And of course, you have parallels. I like to listen music, and I like to listen music that I don't know. So, I always try to follow composers that I don't know, because this is something that really, I think is, perhaps part of the inspiration, to be always as a sponge, permeable to what happens. I like to very much to see what happens in my surround. Inspiration is a very tricky word, because claim that something happened to you, and I don't like to think in that way, but I like to think basically the only one way in any case that to be inspired is, for me, is work, every day, sitting with ideas, without ideas, to know what I can do, to know what I cannot do. So, sitting in my studio, and, mean work doesn't mean that you are just writing music, it's many lines that you open up in terms of work. For me, reading is a work. Besides that, it's a pleasure. I don't consider work. To me, work is not a nightmare or something dramatic. Constantly, I get ideas and possibilities for things that we read, for things that we analyze as musicians analyze music. So, coming ideas for others' music. It's not just the action of writing music, but, it's this daily life to go to your studio, sitting over there and check it out what you are doing. So I believe more in this daily life process of work. Sometimes, as I say, you write music, sometimes you do not, but, you create the situations that happens. And I think how you help yourself, in my case, is working in this way, as you are searching for these possibilities. So it's not that I had, or I feel that, I am blocked, or I can't work, or I can go further. I always have something that I didn't finish before, so that I want to finish. So in this case, lately, I don't have this let's say problem of that you can go further. Always I think I have the tools to continue working, and also project that didn't come through, that I wish that would come through in the future. So I already have kind of gamut of things that I want to accomplish for the future. The deadline is always a horrible word. With some time, also I think it's important to have the opportunity to, after revisited your work, and do corrections. And this is let's say, a second layer of the process of composition that I like very much. Particularly, I like to correct my music, because I think I am not perfect, far from perfect. I don't looking for perfections. What I like is to improve the music. So I know that the music will be deployed entirely how I wish when I listen the piece in the concert. So this is the moment that comes the truth, or coming what I did before. So I always will find any elements to correct, elements to improve in the process of composition. So this is, as Cage said in a brilliant way, that the third part of compositions procedure, so which is listen your music. So I always like to correct and improve the quality of what I did. So I don't think so that is available, this concept of, okay, when when coming the inspiration. I don't think so that coming inspiration. Certain moments you are more open, certain things are fluent more easy, and other moments no, and also have to be with your period of your life. You want to change things, you want to continue something that you developed before. It's many stages that come up through the process of creation, if we want to call, or that we pass through. So this is something very personal. I don't believe in this idea of we have inspiration. No, I think it's the very simple action of working every day. Like we wake up every day, so we go to our studio and we work there. This is how I think, and of course it's very important also with the people that you work, because you get feedback, and this feedback give you light to your thoughts. And all this process, I think, is extremely productive and rich in terms of how you conceive, a specific work. But it's true that in one moment you are sitting alone in the studio and you're just facing, the white page that is in front of you, waiting for your decisions. And this is the moment that we have to come up with something. And I think you come up with something when you already have an idea, and you manage to put this idea on paper, whatever would be your profession. You are a visual artist, you are a filmmaker, you're a writer, you are a composer, you're a theater maker. So, this is the one moment, the tête-à-tête, just on yourself and what you have to put on the paper. Sometimes you are days just to say, or hours and hours and hours, and nothing come up, but that it will come up. And this is why you believe on that. And this is why you continue doing that, Besides that, someday, could be 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, that nothing come up, nothing happened. But, this process of thinking, and research and studying and reading, you sculpting the moment that come up, the idea, It's like this process that I found extremely important, So excited about this program. Really, it's so beautiful. Work with Modelo. It was a great experience. Now is again a challenge for me, because beside it would be 2 of the pieces that we play in Orgel Park. We have to do certain changes for the new program, because we don't have organs. So we decided to switch for other instruments. In this case, we will use accordion, which is an instrument that are in certain way related to the organ in terms of color, or it can have certain lines in common with the organ. So I say yes, let's try with the accordion. So in this moment I'm working with the accordionist. And yeah, it's a great process. As I said before, I learned so much about this instrument that I never write a note for that. So it made me very happy, again, to be challenged by the instrument. Yeah, and the 2 pieces. Well, here is, and the program it's a little bit what I said before, this music. I mean, who could not be inspired by Anne Carson? She's a great writer. I mean, it's fantastic, her work. So especially in the piece that we will play, is belong to a book that is called Men in the Off Hours, written in 2000. It's a book, actually. It's a hybrid collection of short text that have different sources. She had in this book essays, she has script, she has poems, she has epitaph, translation from ancient Greek to English. And it's kind of atlas, the book. It's very unique in that concern. It's kind of atlas because pointed out so many writers and thinkers and artists. you have fragment of Sappho, you have fragment of Antonin Artaud, Emily Dickinson, Virginia Woolf, Tamiki Hara is one of the poems that we will use in the piece. So it's completely rich material in terms of what you can do with that. And especially I choose the serie, which is in this book, it's called Confessions, because I love the sources of this work. She is inspired by the artist Edward Hopper, the painter Edward Hopper, which is an artist that I like very much since I was a kid. This book was in my house, so I like it very much to open this book and see this painting, which are, refer to certain solitude, certain nakedness, and all have certain, I don't know, to me, certain melancholy in the way that the artist presented his canvas. So, she did something so beautiful about it, because she chose certain paintings of the work by Hopper and create, I don't know, I see it as a theater piece, really, because it's dialogue between the characters that come up from the painting. So, one of the most known paintings by Hopper is this corner of the street where you see a cafe, where I sit in two characters, woman and man. And, it's when you read the poem, immediately it's coming this kind of 3D situation. You're coming into the theater situation. You are facing a theater piece. And he said to her, I want to run away with you tonight, but you are a difficult woman. So, this is the beginning of the poem. Immediately, when I read this poem, and we has been in this period of quarantine and curfew. So, this again, this interrelationship between people that happened in these poems was, for me, like it was an open door to a different landscape that we used to be in these last 2 years. So, immediately, I say, okay, I would love to work with this text for the next the next project was the project in Orchel Park with Modelo. So immediately, come up that, okay, this is the piece that I want to work with. And yes, and I use the same technique or procedure with text. Used to work in another project with Modelo, and Mesa Samba was based in a Japanese writer called Mikitaro Tada. So basically, I use a very specific technique. It's a technique that I developed in many years already. The first piece was written in 2000. I started the process in 2015. I did this piece for Modelo Whispering in My Pillow, and after, another piece that's called The Body Imitates the Landscape for Mesa Samba was two pieces that are related to the same process, and the process is something very, very dear to me, because actually, it's important to mention. Well, I found, always in certain moment of my process of composition, I decided to go back to the origin, to the beginning. What would be the beginning? What would be the started point to write music? So, in this moment, I connect with something that I like very much, which is the voice in music. The voice, have the history of Western music is based on voice, from Cantus Firmus until nowadays, we have a long line of how voices are involved in music process. So from Monteverdi and Ginny Adam, fantastic and amazing music, until nowadays, we have a long line with the voice, the use of the voice. So, in this moment, I certain music that I like very much or have a very strong influence, like how we use text, Robert Ashley. I mentioned him because I have the opportunity to meet him and talk to him and understand a little bit his process. So, you know, I always is something that surround my memoirs about how you can approach text and voice and different ways of, or add another problem to this trace. So I decided to begin the process differently than how in general music proceeds. So first of all, I record the text, the voice. I choose different friends or people that I meet. You know, I ask them to record the text. So give me the chance to do a spectral analysis of the music, of the voice, and this would be my information to transfer to sound and pitch. So and this is the first approach, is the opposite to what happened in general, which is, you know, to get a text and, let's say, harmonize the text or orchestrate the text. So here is the opposite. Who create the music context is the voice itself. So through the spectral analysis, you can get, you know, the pitches that are involved in the wave of speech. So, and the other part very, very important is because you have two lines, you know, you have different ways of speaking. One is our normal way of speaking, as we do now. But the other way is when you, for instance, whisper or mumble super, super soft. So what happens when you whisper, it is that disappear the color of your voice, the harmony of your voice. So we recognize our voice for the harmony, right? But if you whisper, the color of your voice are out. So you can't know exactly who is speaking, because basically, physically, what happens is you remove all the bubbles, which is the A, B, A, I that give you the color of your voice. So when you remove the bubbles of your voice, which is when you whisper, your voice become unknown in a certain way, and actually have another connotation, which is very beautiful, because, you know, you whisper in a very specific moments. When I decided to use this voice, the speechless voice, how it's called, you know, the idea was, okay, the voice will be whisper, and who will bring the harmony to the voice will be the instruments. So the instrument, you know, bring to the surface the harmony of this voice, which is cancelled. So, you know, this process was a long process until I arrived to this, let's say, conclusion. And have to do one lecture that I follow in university in one moment in 2014. And a phonoaudiologist, she specifically have a lecture about whisper voice. So, you know, I was captivated by the topic, so I went to the lecture. And basically, you know, after I started to experiment with my voice, and, you know, from this process that happened in 2014, come up later this idea that I use in these pieces that compose from 16, 17 on. So here I use the same process. I select different friend of mine to read the poems by Anne Carson. And after the ensemble, you know, made the voice, let's say, audible, because bring the harmony of this voice to the public. So this is a little bit the idea behind the process of composing these pieces. The difference between perhaps the whispering in my pillow and the body imitates the landscape, and this one, it is because in this new series, I mean, in the Confessions, I pointed out other aspect of the speechless voice, which is more related to the we can say, the noise. You will hear more, I would say, extended techniques in the instrument, and I think I try to switch slowly to that direction, to enrich, all the qualities that have, the letters that are more influenced by noise that we create with our way of pronunciation, that the sound that are related to the harmony of the voice. So this is one parameter which is different to the other two pieces that I did before. And other parameter, perhaps what was for me very, very interesting, was to, you will see or you will hear, certain parts that are composing in terms of, I call like a touch from the structure material that comes through the voice. So many times you will listen the text through the instrument, but after just instrumental part. So this is material that comes through the process that happened with the instrument and the voices, and after have, their own autonomy, right? And create kind of certain moment of gaps, I would say, in the structural form of the piece. So this is something that I like very much in this new process, and I think it have to be as well with the timing of the, in this case I use poetry. So it's different. Before I use was a text, essay. I mean, the other pieces that we mentioned, Whispers and Whisper in My Pillow and The Bad Imitation Landscape was an essay. And this is a poet, it's a poem. So, it's different also how you approach, because you are, of course, and you want to be influenced for how, in this case, Anne Carson, use the text. Vis Insita is a piece that I composed especially for both pieces I composed especially for the project in the orchel part, but this is a piece perhaps that come later in the process of work in this piece that called Vis Insita. Vis Insita is a word in Latin and coming from is inertia, basically, and it is used, in this book, Philosophia Naturalis Principia Mathematica by Isaac Newton. And I like very much, this first law of inertia, what is the meaning and the definition. So, for me was, in this case, yes, I just like to use the sentence of this concept into this piece. This sentence was kind of inspiration, I would say, in this way, in order to write this music. And after, it's like the piece have perhaps different sources, and one of these is this sentence, which is something that I prefer to read, to be very concrete. And what it say is the Vis Insita, or innate force of matter, is a power of resistance by which everybody endeavor to persevere in the present state, whether it be of rest or moving informally forward in the right line. That's the definition of Vis Insita. It's like inertia, right? So it's this constant movement. How put together this piece, which apply to a very simple element, which is, a constant movement, and what happened when you put together an ensemble play this music. So the technique that I use, coming from one piece that I did before, which is for double bass, and is based in typing the string with the back of the bow. So this technique, which I use in the double bass, was kind of an idea that I want to continue in other instruments, and found how I can transfer this information from the double bass to the other instruments. So one of the first things that come up is how I can transfer this information into the piano. And luckily in the Orgel Park, they have this beautiful old piano with parallel strings, which immediately, you know, called me to try out there because have a particular way of construct the instrument and make more easy in order to create glissandis inside the instrument and use the same idea of play one key and with the finger you moving up and down on the string and you create kind of you know, spectrum harmonic harmony from the basic note that you play, the original note that you play. So, and it's kind of the same technique of tapping the string, no? Because you just moving your finger on the strings and you create this kind of cloud that comes through the instrument. So, and after, you know, I did the research actually with Ezequiel and Santiago with electric guitar, how can I approach, you know, a technique similar to this idea. And, you know, we found something which I like very much, which is to play the instrument with a piece of metal, pass through the string and moving with the slider, and you create again this very kind of constant glissandi up and down on the string of the guitar. So, you know, I try to transfer the same technique to other instruments, to the ensemble. And, you know, with the bass clarinet, I use the key clicks, something that also I already tried in a piece that I did for bass clarinet solo. So, you know, now I decided to add into Vis Insita to play together. And the other part, which very important, is the use of the loop station. Because basically what every musician play is recording their own in real time. So you basically overlapping lines and lines for a very simple rhythmical, simple material, you know, it means that tick, 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 and with glissandi, you know, kind of simple pattern that go up and down on the different strings or in the bass clarinet on the key. And every minute you send in this live recording to the loop station and come up to the space. So, you know, basically you accumulate enormously amount of loops, you know, that go from every instrument. So at a certain moment you have like, I don't know, it's like a 60, 70 loops running together and create kind of, yeah, beautiful chaos. You know, you go for something very simple and structural material, you know, and defined material that you can really follow, and almost silly material, you know, tick, 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 to a one cloud of completely at random counterpoint, crazy counterpoint that is very, very powerful until the pieces end. No? So it's this line that grow up to in a term way. It's quite shocking what happened. I mean, that was my first reaction. You know, I didn't know what had happened. We couldn't really rehearse the piece because technical problems, you know, but I didn't, you know, I have this idea just as an idea, but I didn't try with the instrument, decided to try only with one instrument, but I didn't know exactly what would happen with 5 instruments. And I would say that with the 5 instruments, it's really impressive what it happened in the space, you know, because also has to do with the space of the room, of the hall of the room, how the music travel and how the instrument, you know, they counterpoint each other in this massive cloud that happens through the process of the loop station of the musicians in real time recording. I think many times when you go to a concert, you just sit over there and just you let yourself flow with the music without so many thoughts and speculation about what it happened. You know, you just are there. And I think in this context, what I really hope is that the people that go to the concert after go and looking for the text by this great writer and Carlson. That I think is beautiful, you know, that the music open up this door to read her work, her poems. I don't say just this book, but you know, just her work. So this I think is something great as an audience, to know have the chance to know and Carson, for instance. Please read the text, her text. Have one, we call plain water, which is beautiful, so it's different to this one that we will follow in the concert. It's so many things coming when you read her, that I really, really wish that people, are curious about her work, because it's beautiful to open up to this pleasure, really, It's a sonic experience, it's a sonic experience. We are not just unique or solid structure, we are facing different realities, and we confronting different realities. And I think in certain way is what you reflect or what you mirror in the music, right? So this, I guess that the process, I feel that the process are similar in terms of how I build up the music, but the results quite different, quite diverse in between one to another. But I like it because it's part of our life, that we are exposed to different situations and confront with different realities. So this is, I think, part of your aesthetic, I would say. So this the second piece, Vis Insita, is a real sonic experience, because the other is more, I would say the first piece perhaps more you are called to other sense, which is reading or try to grasp what happened with the text, what the text mean. And the second one is just the sonic experiences. It's the sound in the first the first position is just the sound. What happened with the sound in this cloud. What happened with counterpoint, in this cloud. So it's perhaps more abstract in that concern. But to me, I had great gratifications after I finished the piece and after see what happened. So I expecting that the people also enjoy this moment. It's not very long piece. It's around 20 minutes more or less. I am so happy to play again because we play only one. So I am happy to see what happened now in another festival with another public. So yes, it's a great opportunity to share these two pieces. I would like to add something which we didn't say, and I think it's very important. At least to me, to say thank you to the Modelo62 to tied to this project, because for always is the only one way of communicate your music when you have a great ensemble that are part of the process. And this is something that I love about Modelo, that you share the process. So I like to bring scores that give you the opportunity to interchange and create kind of learn from both sides. So they can learn through me, but I can learn through them, and that's for me the most important one. I can learn through them. So I think in this concern to work with Modelo is always a big pleasure, because I get this retribution, which is learning, which is something that we have to always try to achieve when we work, learn. So this is my main, point, learning through the others. So in this occasion, to work with Modelo opened to me this beautiful door, which is to learn. Thanks to the festival that hosting this program, actually, I have the chance to play this piece, and the festival was, I think, happy to do this new program with the ensemble. So very grateful for that too.